Good evening. I'm Andy Thayer. I'm with the Gay Liberation Network, and tonight we're very pleased to have Patty McCann from Iraq Veterans Against the War, and we're going to be talking about the issue of the war, why not only gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgendered people should be against the war, but other folks as well. But first, before we get into the heart of our program, I'd like to show you how you can get involved in the Gay Liberation Network. The thing to do is to just go to our website, www.gayliberation.net. You can drop us an email at lgbtliberation@aol.com. We have only about 25 minutes on the program here tonight, so if you've got a question or comment, we do invite you to drop us an email or visit our website so you can get in contact with us. But we've got tonight, as I said, Patty McCann from Iraq Veterans Against the War. Patty, could you tell us a little bit about what Iraq Veterans Against the War? Obviously, the name says something about it, but how did the group form and how did you get involved?
Right. Well, the group started back in 2003, and it started in Philadelphia. And basically, every Iraq veteran against the war believes in three main principles, which are: we want all troops out now, we want to rebuild Iraq and give reparations to Iraqi people, and we want full VA benefits for all returning veterans. And to become a member of Iraq Veterans Against the War, you simply have to have served in any of the armed forces since September 11th. Most of our veterans that are in the organization have served in Iraq or Afghanistan, but we do have a few who served in Kosovo, Bosnia, all over the place. So, yeah, we're just a all-around veterans group, and I think I got involved about a year ago through my college campus, some anti-war groups there. I met my friend Eric Alberg, who is also an IVAW member, and he was in the 101st Airborne and served in both Afghanistan and Iraq. Myself, I served in Iraq from 2003 to 2004.
Yeah, okay. And if you want to get involved in IVAW, if you are either a veteran or are currently employed in the armed forces, please go to the IVAW website. You can get in touch with IVAW there, talk to folks like Patty and other veterans that are involved in the anti-war movement. The picture that you see up on the screen there is of our local IVAW chapter participating in the the 4th anniversary of the invasion protest on Michigan Avenue, which is this year is going to be coming up on March 19th and 20th, and we'll be talking about that in a little bit. But first, you'll see on your screen there something called the Winter Soldier Campaign, and again, you can get more information about this by going to the IVAW website. But Patty, could you tell us what the Winter Soldier Campaign is all about?
Definitely.
What's going on with that?
Well, in 1971, Vietnam Veterans Against the War sponsored a series of testimonies from Vietnam vets who, it was started to investigate the My Lai massacre. A caucus in Congress asked veterans, what's the deal with all these atrocities? Is it just one isolated incident? Because at the time they were saying, oh, those are some bad apples. Those are not a lot, most units aren't going into villages and burning down houses and stuff like that. So Winter Soldier was sort of put together to illustrate that these weren't isolated incidents, such as right now you could compare it to Abu Ghraib, stuff like that. Like, these are not isolated incidents within the military, and in fact it is military policy to go in and cause terrorize.
We just had the president saying that if there was a bill that came before him that would outlaw waterboarding, which is a torture technique which has been regarded as a torture technique not just for the last few years, but going right back to the Inquisition, the Spanish Inquisition. This is not a new news here, that waterboarding is torture, and yet the President of the United States is saying that if a bill comes before him that says that waterboarding is torture and thus not a legitimate interrogation technique, that he would veto that bill. And so far, the Congress has not stood up to him. As I mentioned, Iraq Veterans Against the War and the Gay Liberation Network and a whole host of other organizations are involved in organizing protests and other activities on the 5th anniversary of the Iraq invasion, which is coming up this March. And I just wanted to get a little bit of information up on the screen about that. In Chicago, there's going to be 2 days of activities. You see on your screen there, rally and march up to the Gold Coast on Wednesday, March 19th, and on Thursday, the 20th, a day of resistance, various creative actions that are going to be culminating in a convergence at 5 p.m. at Federal Plaza. That's what's going on in this town, and that photograph that we showed earlier of Iraq Veterans Against the War, that was from last year. It's quite an exciting event. It's an important way to get the information out about why people should oppose this war. But getting into that some, Patty, could you tell our viewers how you came to be against this war?
Well, it started, I think, pretty much immediately after my unit was called up. I was like, why are we going to Iraq when Al-Qaeda's from Afghanistan is what they're, why are they telling us they're from Afghanistan and now they're from Iraq? And, and it didn't add up, and the whole country knew it. But, while we were waiting to be deployed, we were told that we were going to help rebuild the infrastructure, and this was, I went back in 2003. This was years ago. So, and I was like, I joined the military. I'm not going to get a discharge. Maybe we are going to help rebuild Iraq. But when we were there for about 6 months and I saw, no rebuilding going on, I saw, just tons and tons of exploitation of Iraqi people, people still living without, water and electricity. Back then, to me, it seemed like a long time. And here it is 5 years later, still people go about 3 hours a day, if they're lucky, with electricity.
Yeah.
So, at that time, that and a lot of other stuff that happened, I saw that veterans weren't being taken care of in Iraq. I saw that people were being denied medical, dental health. People were being denied the ability to complain about their command. Specifically women, I saw a lot of women who were being sexually harassed, very severely sexually harassed. Not just, oh, you're a woman, you're not getting a promotion. No, I saw women, I saw men attempt rape with women armed, and so these women had no outlet to report these people. In one instance, the instance where I saw a man try to attempt to rape a woman and he was armed, he was a CID officer, which are people who investigate military crimes.
So the cops were the ones who were committing the crimes. So
Exactly.
It sort of sounds like Chicago. Yeah, that's outrageous. And I mean, we've heard from time to time, various anecdotal things about the problems of sexual harassment in the military. For those who are concerned about people being gay baited out of the military, one thing that's very, very common is that women will be accused of being lesbians if they don't put out, so to speak. And actually the discharge of women from the military for allegedly being lesbian is actually at a far greater rate per capita than it is of men being purged, and a lot of it has to do with this sort of sexual harassment that Patty is talking about. There's been books written about this. Have never been a member of the military, but this is something that we've seen over and over again. Now, Patty is going to be one of those who's going to be testifying as part of the Winter Soldier campaign that's going to be coming up this March. And again, we urge you, if you are a current member of the military, or if you are a veteran that served since 9/11 who now feels like you've been sold a bill of goods, please check out Iraq Veterans Against the War. The easiest way to do it is to go to ivaw.org. You can talk with other veterans. Everything that I've ever heard from any number of different veterans is that military counseling is typically non-existent or very inadequate. go to IVAW. They'll hook you up with other veterans that you can talk with about your issues, whether it's about getting VA benefits, whether it's about dealing with your experiences in the war, because so many people, not just the Iraqi people, but vets themselves, have been damaged by this war.
Definitely.